Today we're talking about the 5 critical items that every scout leader should have with them for every function. Stay tuned. So if you're new to this channel, our mission is to give out information to brand new adult leaders and brand new scouting parents. Also, we hope to inspire you to go out and learn more about what it is that we do here in scouting. But today, we're going to be talking about 5 critical items that you should have inside of your bag whenever you go out on a trip with your scouts, whether it be Scouts BSA, Cub Scouts, or venturing. Now, we're not talking about items that are already included in the Cub Scout 6 Essentials or the Scout 10 Essentials. So we're not going to be talking about things like medical kits, because you should already have this in your bag and you should already have a larger kit for your crew, for your troop, or for your pack whenever it is you go places. We're specifically talking about a few items that I, as a commissioner and an adult leader, over the years have found to be the most beneficial items to have within my bag. And just so you know, I'm telling the truth, I'm going to pull everything from my bag that I carry with me during every pack event that I go to. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. So number 1 on our list is actually going to be hydration and electrolyte packets, like I have here right in front of me. So we already know that scouts are required to bring water to every activity that they do. However, sometimes water just isn't enough depending upon the conditions that you find yourself in. Us out here in Northern Virginia, or when I used to live out in Las Vegas, we tend to deal with a lot of heat and humidity, so you want to make sure that you are replacing the electrolytes and the salts that your scouts are sweating out. Have you ever gone out and done something like truly physical, like maybe you went on a good couple-mile hike, or maybe you're outside doing some heavy yard work, and you get back into your house, and after a few minutes of cooling off, you take your hat off, or maybe you wipe your brow, and you notice this white film that's on your face? Well, that's actually the salt that's being expelled from your body, and the same thing happens to our young scouts when they're out in the field or they're running around. And because our scouts are always going to be sweating because they're at a constant high rate of speed running around everywhere, we as adult leaders want to have some form of electrolyte packet with us. Now, these ones are fairly simple. You just take them and you put them inside the kids' water. Obviously, it's dependent upon if they have like an Nalgene bottle versus a Camelback, but if you have one of those 12-ounce water bottles or bottled water, this is great to put into it. It has a great flavor. You can get a bunch of different flavors that are out there depending on which brand you want, so the kids are more inclined to drink it. These packets are also fairly inexpensive, so you can go out and you can buy a Walmart or a Target brand, and that way you can have plenty in your bag whenever you go out to your different activities. During this last summer out at summer camp, I carried around a ton of these because after a while, the kids start getting these mysterious headaches. No matter how much you tell them that they need to hydrate and drink water, they inevitably don't, so eventually they start complaining that hey, I've got a headache or my tummy is upset, and 9 times out of 10, it's because they haven't been consuming enough water. They think they have. I've drank 2-3 water bottles right now, or I've had an entire Camelback. Yeah, that's not enough over the course of 6 hours when you're running around the country of Western Virginia. So I always made sure that I carried around a ton of these, and whenever a kid would start getting an inclination of, hey, I've got a little bit of a headache, I would pull out an additional bottle of water, give them one of these, and then they always seem to spring back right after that. Another thing is that I started carrying around a large Yeti that already had some pre-mixed ones with some cups, so that way if they didn't have any water, I was able to give it to them, and that seemed to work out fairly well because out of the 8 scouts that we took out to the scout reservation, none of them became a heat casualty and none of them really had any sort of problems, so I think that that's a win. But that brings us to number 2 on our list, which is going to be a notepad and pen. Now, this one kind of seems fairly obvious, but you as an adult leader are always going to want to have a notebook and a pen with you at all times. I personally carry multiple notepads and multiple pens because the military has instilled it in me that, hey, 2 is 1 and 1 is none, and I always get anxiety when I don't have multiple pens with me, just in case I need to take a roll, if I need to write down some specific notes about something that I'm getting from maybe a camp counselor or from a parent. Or one of my favorite things is that once you give a scout a notebook, you turn them into a tiny little king, and they're able to run around and start telling the other scouts what to do. Trust me, give a notepad to a scout and you've just installed the Dictator. They will run around and they will start telling the kids, hey, we need to do this, this, and this. So make sure that you always have a notepad with you and an additional pen to have that option. The next item on my list is actually one of my personal favorites, and that's going to be permanent markers and Sharpies. If you've ever been around me actually in real life, you'll know that I have an obnoxious collection of Sharpies with me, from different colors, different textures, different things to mark all sorts of different items. Because some of the phrases that I've heard over the years that really drive me up the wall is, number one, gear adrift is a gift. This must be my hat because I can't find mine. Or my favorite one, there's only one thief out at scout camp, everyone else is just looking for their own stuff. I mark everything of mine and my kids whenever I go to camp. That also includes that any of the scouts that I come in contact with, if I find a water bottle that isn't mine, I very quickly identify, hey, whose is this? Michael says, hey, that's mine. Congratulations, Michael. I've now graffitied all over your water bottle. Sometimes if I'm carrying a little bit of duct tape, I'll slap duct tape on something and then write their last name on it, usually their first name and our pack number as well. Make it obnoxious as possible. Now, for those items that you don't want to ruin, like my hat, for example, I don't want to write a big obnoxious name on the bill of it because that would ruin it. So I'll go into the interior of the hat and in certain small areas, maybe on the tag or in the inner fold, I will write down the name, and I do have pens that don't bleed through as much or not at all. That way, we're able to identify items very quickly, because we have had incidences, including this last time at summer camp, where some of my scouts had their money and their gear stolen. Now, thankfully, through the teamwork of adults from us and the different packs, we were able to return the money and the gear, and everything worked out great. Now, the kids did get a great lesson, and hey, this is why you should watch after your stuff and why you should also mark things. So that's also why I carry around these markers everywhere that I go, including to events outside of scout camp. So that way I'm always marking people's stuff. So that way we know that their stuff is taken care of. But hey, if you like this information thus far, please do me a solid and leave me a like and subscribe down below. It's free and it allows me to be able to come out here and do this for you guys and provide you guys with the best information that I can find about scout related topics. Also, down in the description you'll find our Amazon affiliate links, which links to the different recommended products that we have. If you go down there and you click one of those links and you go and you purchase anything afterwards out of your Amazon cart, it doesn't even have to be the items that we've put up there, then we do receive a small commission and you're helping grow this channel. Also, be sure to share this with your scouting friends so that way we can spread this message as wide as possible. But with that, let's get back to the list. So the next item on our list is actually one that helps teach and instill the Be Prepared Scout motto into both the scouts and the parents themselves. Because one thing that is consistent is that once you go out into the wilderness, the weather is going to change, and inevitably you're going to have a scenario where you go out to hike, and when you come back it is absolutely pouring down rain, which is why I always recommend that you carry a disposable poncho with you, or a couple of disposable ponchos with you. Because us as adult leaders who are leading the pack and leading these adults, we want to make sure that we are prepared for these kind of scenarios. That way we can help out our fellow adult leaders and our fellow scouts. I carry around a ton of these because I want to make sure that we can say, hey, I'm going to help you out this one point, but this is why we carry this stuff with us, because we never know when the weather is going to change. And I think that it's very beneficial and helps build that relationship and really solidify the be prepared mindset of scouting. Alright, so the final item on the list is actually going to be a spare activity. I want to make sure that you as brand new adult leaders or as brand new parents who are thinking about becoming adult leaders always have a backup plan whenever you go out to do an event or to do a specifically like a den meeting or something like that, especially with Cub Scouts. Because you're going to run into scenarios like I ran into last year when I was a bear den leader. See, there is a Baloo the Builder, I believe is what it's called, where the kids, they get to learn about the different tools, and then at the very end they get to build a toolbox. And one of the last things is that they get to decorate and paint this toolbox. So it was my turn to lead the meeting that day, so I decided that I was going to bring all the materials, slay everything out behind the clubhouse that we meet at during the wintertime. And I asked for adult volunteers, and lo and behold, I actually got more volunteers than I actually expected or needed, which was great because it was very efficient. Unfortunately, it took my 45-minute plan. event and took it down to 15. So now I have 30 minutes to keep 17 Bear Scouts entertained. As soon as they were done painting and they were all excited and just waiting for their toolboxes to dry, they just started running amok, and it was time for me to kind of start pulling these tricks out of my bag to keep them entertained. And I, unfortunately, was not prepared for this. So I kind of had to stick with, let's do some foot races since we were outside. Have them do some dad jokes, which turned into everybody trying to be a comedian. You know, there's some pretty cringy ones. There were some good ones, but there were also some cringy ones. And finally, I decided that I would not want to be in that situation ever again. So I've decided to start writing down a couple of different things that we can work on, and I'll share those with you. Number one is to work on a skit. I can tell you right now that it's unfortunate when you go out to a campfire and everybody's like, hey, we're going to do a skit, and you haven't really practiced anything. So if you have a chance to practice a skit at one of these events when you have a little bit of a gap, go ahead and do that. I'll include down in the description some different websites that have different skits that you guys can go ahead and work on. The second one is it's always good to practice your flag ceremony and your opening ceremonies. That's one thing that you can work on, especially with anybody who's above a bear, especially the Webelos and the AOLs. You can sit there and you can go over the Scout Oath, the Scout Law, and how they can project their voice and get the audience attention, how to do the different opening ceremonies. And finally, I always carry it around an American flag with me so they can go ahead and practice folding and displaying the flag. I've also, over the years, grabbed a couple of these little art kits in case I find myself with a lion den or a tiger den and we want to go ahead and kill some time. But hey, that's been our list of 5 critical items that every new parent and every new scout leader should carry with them at all times. If you think I've missed anything, please leave a comment down below of what you think that I should include on the next video. Also, make sure that you're sharing this with your friends, and if there's any questions that you have, please don't be afraid to write them down in the comments and to share this with your friends. I want to make this channel as wide as possible so that way we can provide the best information to you guys. But with that, I've been Matt with the Roaming Scouter, and I'll see you out there.